For years, cashless bail was sold as justice reform, a way to make the system fairer for those who couldn't afford to pay. But instead of bringing justice, it unleashed a wave of crime across our cities, leading to more fear and insecurity. It sent a message to criminals that there were no real consequences for their actions, making our communities less safe and more vulnerable. Now, former President Trump has stepped in, signing an executive order to put an end to this failed experiment and restore order. The ruling class claimed cash bail was unfair, arguing it discriminated against the poor. So they let offenders walk free, often within hours of their arrest. But in doing so, they ignored the voices of victims and law-abiding citizens who were left to deal with the consequences. Trump's order is the first real pushback against this policy, using federal power to demand that law enforcement agencies comply or risk losing funding. This is not just a political issue, it's a fight for the safety of our families and the very soul of our country. With this decisive action, Trump is restoring common sense and putting an end to the chaos that has plagued our streets. Cashless bail sounds harmless, but it's anything but. The idea behind it is to ensure that people who can't afford bail aren't unfairly kept in jail. However, the reality is far more complicated and troubling. Traditionally, bail-insured defendants showed up for court, acting as a financial incentive to return for their trial dates. It also kept dangerous people off the streets, providing a layer of protection for the community. Cashless bail throws that away. Most suspects are released automatically, with no real consequences. This means that even those accused of serious crimes can walk free without any financial deterrent. The system naively assumes accused criminals will follow the rules and return for their court dates out of a sense of civic duty. Advocates say it's about poverty, arguing that the current system unfairly targets the poor. But bail is about risk, not wealth. It's a tool to ensure public safety and the integrity of the judicial process. Judges lose the power to keep dangerous offenders in custody, making it harder to protect the public. The result? Career criminals walk free and re-offend, knowing the law is toothless. They exploit the system, committing more crimes with little fear of consequences. This isn't justice, it's a system built for the convenience of criminals. Law enforcement and communities are left to deal with the fallout. Our cities have become playgrounds for the lawless, where the innocent live in fear and the guilty roam free. Trump can't ban cashless bail nationwide, but he controls federal funding. His executive order directs agencies to cut off money to jurisdictions with cashless bail. The message: enforce the law or lose federal support. In D.C., federal intervention led to an 80% drop in carjackings in just 20 days. Strong enforcement works. When criminals are held accountable, crime drops. Critics call it an abuse of power, but what about the rights of citizens living with the consequences? Trump's order is a lifeline to those abandoned by local leaders. He's restoring order and siding with victims, not criminals. This isn't just about statistics. It's about real lives, real families, and real communities devastated by the consequences of cashless bail. Behind every number is a person whose world has been turned upside down, whose sense of safety has been shattered. Take the story of Nikia Young, a devoted mother in D.C. She was tragically murdered by a man who had just been released after a car theft arrest, despite his long and violent criminal record. Her family's grief is a stark reminder that these policies have real, irreversible consequences. In California, the introduction of zero bail led to a dramatic surge in violent crime. Incidents tripled in some areas. Communities that once felt safe now live in fear, as repeat offenders are released back onto the streets with little oversight. Judges like Yolo County's Jeff Reisig have sounded the alarm, insisting that every case deserves careful individual review. Cashless bail strips away that discretion, forcing a one-size-fits-all approach that puts the public at risk. Some point to falling murder rates as a sign of progress, but the reality is more complex. Shootings and violent assaults remain alarmingly high. Advances in emergency medicine simply mean more victims survive, not that violence has truly decreased. The violence and fear persist, haunting neighborhoods and changing the way people live. Even if the statistics look better on paper, the anxiety and trauma remain deeply felt. For every statistic, there's a shattered family mourning a loved one, a business forced to close its doors, a child too afraid to play outside. These are the hidden costs that numbers can't capture. These are the real victims. Stories that too often go untold, overlooked by the media, and forgotten in policy debates. Their pain is real, and their voices deserve to be heard. President Trump's order stands for these families, making it clear that their safety and security matter. It's a promise that their suffering will not be ignored. This is more than a policy change. It's a rejection of failed ideology and a renewed commitment to protecting the innocent, restoring hope, and rebuilding trust in our communities. We're at a crossroads. This isn't just about reform, but the purpose of government itself. One side sacrifices public safety for ideology, believing criminals are victims. The other side, Trump's side, puts law-abiding citizens first and demands accountability. This is not a partisan issue. Everyone deserves to feel safe. Cashless bail created a two-tiered system, elites insulated, everyone else exposed. Trump's move to defund chaos is a step toward restoring order. Now, every community must choose, tolerate decline, or demand safety. The future depends on it.